So, my name is Björn Larsson, and I was actually, it's really good because there has been a couple of overlaps and a couple of clarifications, but actually leaning into what I want to convey already, so I think we will have it rather crisp. I also say that today, this morning, I attended a totally non-digital healthcare execution. Last year, I was biting olive, and a whole frontal teeth was just wiped out. So I had an early session today with a very analog couple of guys fixing my teeth in the morning before I come here. So not everything is data, but almost. So my story, because what I want to convey with you is what a fantastic environment we have in Gothenburg, but also that we have challenges and that we need every one of you with us together. And the other one is some reflections from my immersion into innovation system during the last, let's say, 15, 20 years. So I'm from Chalmers, or Gothenburg and Chalmers, and then went into medical school. After a while, I left it because I was getting old already then, and then went into the pre-merger AstraZeneca, it was called Astra Läkemedel, and worked there. And from there, that is 1990 approximately, I went into big pharma and big medtech in Sweden, US, and a little bit around the world, and in the end in Zurich with Novo Nordisk. And then I came back in 2008, 9, somewhere, and then I dived right into the ecosystem of innovation. And I want to describe a little bit back then and how it is now, give some example, give some reflections. So what did I emerge into? Yeah, so this is taken from another presentation, but what you see is a quadrant. And it's actually a good description of Gothenburg innovation, health innovation system then and now. But they look the same, but are very, very different. We had some significant companies already then, AstraZeneca, Vitrolife, Mölnlycke, Dentsply was called AstraTech, but it was a number of significant companies driving the health sector in Gothenburg. We have definitely a healthcare provider system. Sahlgrenska University Hospital is the leading or the biggest hospital in almost all respects in Sweden and provides a fantastic test platform for innovation if it's available and accessible. And we have Chalmers and Gothenburg University, and I'll come back to that in the end. It's so important to have excellence with you all the time, to have this between the pragmatic implementation of stuff, but also make sure that we build capabilities in the system. And I think that was Jonathan was very much alluding to in his initial session. And there are also neighboring regions to Gothenburg, Halland, for example, that is important. And then we have the tech sector, automotive, but also other sectors. They were there already. It was not so many companies as it is now, but they are there. But there was no really collaboration. There was silos between the sectors, between the ecosystem of, you didn't hire from Volvo. You hired from another medtech company or a pharma company. So we were there, but we were not getting the value out of it. And then finally, I come back. There was a couple of environments where actually hosting companies. And my theme today is about companies. And what was medtech back then? Medtech was basically stuff with electronics and maybe some connectivity. And it was basically medtech. Pharma was very much pharma, as we remember it 10 years ago. Very, how should you say, traditional in its way of operating. So it was almost like separate worlds. But we're still doing well, in a sense. Now, as I said, same, but very, very, very different. Co-action. And it's co-action between sectors, like for example, tech sector with other sectors like health, medtech or pharma. But it's also collaboration between stakeholders. And what you see is that the companies are often there is a roadmap or there is a kind of pathway for the companies back and forth between the stakeholders in the system, depending on what the needs are in different stages of a company, which I think make very much sense. And everything is digital, and data, and AI. Either medtech, who is medtech still, a sensor, an iPhone, and algorithm, or is to a high degree pharma companion devices like drug targeting systems, like companion on diagnostics, which means the sectors are convergence between medtech in wide sense and pharma. And I believe that pharma has gone through a more major transition than medtech actually. We have always been around stuff and connectivity and data streams. But for pharma, it's a totally fundamental shift that happens within a few years, actually. And you, Sarah, you will tell more about that. You're actually in that roadmap, in that pathway now. So here are some examples for environment for the companies. And I will go through them and just give one example per environment. So GU Ventures, that's where I emerged. That is the University of Gothenburg's instrument for having a portfolio of academic projects going company. Chalmers have a venture company, which is basically doing the same thing. And Sahlgrenska Science Park is, as you say, Sahlgrenska Hospital's major arm for bringing innovation from the hospital and clinical perspective and hospital environment out as companies. And then there are some other guys around. BioVenture Hub is a place where companies that has gone through a couple of stages earlier on can have a place. And that is an AstraZeneca created external kind of site. There need to be some strategic fit, and companies are welcome to join almost like within AstraZeneca to share resources, and it needs to be some kind of fit, but not total. And then we come back to GoCo, which is something else. So GU Ventures has a broad portfolio, not only of life science, but of they were cross or sector convergent already in 2010, I can tell you. And I just had to point out in narrow frame a couple of companies that I started and are still alive actually, which is kind of interesting. And a few of them are in BioVenture Hub now. But CellLink is a major example. CellLink, you remember, is a 3D bioprinting company that started in Gothenburg 2017. And now it's called BICO. That it's a group of companies with a kind of wider scope. But a major company with multi-billion-dollar kind of revenue. And very much, almost totally been kind of nurtured within the Gothenburg innovation system. Sahlgrenska Science Park, a lot of medtech, a lot of iPhone AI apps, because that's what the hospital environment wants, quick implementation. And I just had to showcase one example, BeatLab. That is actually, this week is about sounds of urban environment. And the founders of this company, which is for detection of heart failure, through sensor monitor, through monitoring of sounds, was actually developed to adjust the sound effect from Polestar exhaust systems in automotive. And then he found out that it might be able to detect heart failure. Talk about sector convergence, I would say. Chalmers Venture have a number of companies in the kind of intersection between tech, material, and now very much AI. And Anjo Lab up there, I can tell you more about this company. That is a typical example of a medtech company, but it's companioning pharmaceutical drug target development or finding drug target through AI, through very deep learning. So an example of where medtech is actually applied to pharma pathway mostly. And these companies are kind of moving in between the stakeholders and the different environments. BioVenture Hub is, as we say, that is mostly for companies that has matured in some other places, and then are welcome into the AstraZeneca environment BioVenture Hub. And 2 other companies that I started are now listed and are in the BioVenture Hub, and 1 has actually moved to GoCo. So there is a kind of transition depending on the needs. And GoCo, finally, that is something else, I think. I think Jonathan described this picture before. It's a very busy picture. I thought I should organize it, but let's leave it like that. It's actually tenants. So we are welcoming, in GoCo, I sit by myself, we're welcoming all kind of stakeholders that will want to be part of a mix that Jonathan described before. So there are actually, you can see communication firms, data analytics, typical organizations like Sweden Bio, for example. There is consultancy firms, and there are consultants like me. And it's a very collaborative and open environment, and that's where I met Sarah, for example. So a totally different kind of mix, and many of our companies have actually a headquarters somewhere else and a representation in GoCo. But we want to be part of a mix in some way. So it's a fantastic place. So I welcome you all, one by one or in a group, to come and visit. And Michaela I met by the coffee machine, by the way. So that was a couple of snapshots of a Gothenburg environment, and just a few reflections. Really good, yeah, improving, but there are some challenges. I would say, and this is about data, and I told all the companies basically except the dentists using data. They handle their personal data, of course, but not in that way. But almost everything is data-driven, so you can't really talk about any specific type of company. Everything has to do with data and how we handle it. And that is why this week is so important. And what challenges do I see? And as you understand, I come from big companies to small companies, has been CEO and board members now for 15 years. And in the big companies, I think, Sarah, you can probably testify that, huge resources, but still fundamental. Where is the standardization? Where is the kind of framework where we can talk with ourselves and with others in the industry and with consultants and with whoever, or acquisition targets or whatever? And for me, who is CEO of minus less than 20 people team, there is a total other challenge. We have yet another challenge to take care of with quality. We just learned AI, and now we need to understand data, where the clinical studies that we are performing. Yeah, publication is nice, but we want to harvest the data, and we need to impose on the clinicians, the PI, a number of new things that if there are a PI in Athens, for example, what are you talking about? And the risk is that we don't have capabilities to do this in a professional way. So, and thus the small companies risking of lacking that edge. And actually, I've seen that happening. And therefore, I think it's very important what Jonathan is describing, to make sure that we build the excellence, capabilities of excellence within our systems. Otherwise, we are depending heavily on consultants. And consultants are very important, but used for the right purpose. Because otherwise, we kind of, you remember the film Lost in Translation? There is so much precision and so much specificness that is lost when we in the small companies are kind of try to do our best and try to talk with our boards why it's so important to hire another data officer. What? Sell. So, in conclusions, I think the previous speaker has basically said it all. I try to talk about the use case. I've done all the mistakes, both in big and small companies. I'm thrilled. I think this is an opportunity, but I think the ingredients that we have talked about now previously this morning is so important, especially the capabilities building and the standardization. The final word is a word of caution, maybe for discussion. It's so much easier to bring a medtech innovation to market than a pharma product, even if it goes quicker now. So the kind of, it's very tempting to go very, very fast with an iPhone and an app and an algorithm. And the danger, I think, is that if we don't do that in an environment of excellence and secure the quality of that innovation, Sahlgrenska Science Park or Sahlgrenska Hospital will soon be flooded with AI apps, maybe 100 of apps, that might not have been developed with a world-class capabilities. And that's why everyone's effort is needed. So welcome to Gothenburg. Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Björn Larsson.